everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome, and welcome to the first of 4 episodes in my brand new season of A Lawn Gnome's Guide 2. Last year was a really big success as we discussed tips and tricks of the trade in regards to writing a project, thesis, or paper, and today, considering the fact that in December of 2015 I have officially obtained my master's degree in database management, there was truly a lot that I had learned in terms of how to properly work in graduate school. So, in this year's Lawn Gnome's Guide 2, we are going to be discussing the ins and outs of undergraduate and graduate school. Because even though graduate school has a little bit of a different atmosphere, there still is a lot that can be brought to the table with similarities towards undergraduate. So, what I'm really hoping for is that you take the time to sit down, as it is really a self-help guide. You don't necessarily have to follow the advice that I give to you, but what I am hoping for is that something in these videos will resonate and will make your lives a little less stressful when you're going through these very important times in your lives. So, where do we begin? Well, we obviously begin at the very beginning. You've officially been accepted into college or into graduate school, and you still have yet to experience your first day of classes. So what exactly do you do to make sure that when that day officially comes, that you are ready to tackle your days and make sure that you have a very manageable life for the next 4 years, or in case of graduate school, 2 years? Well, the first tip that I want to give to you guys is analyze your environment. Look at your dormitory, look at your campus, heck, take a look at the classrooms so you know exactly what you're going to be doing and where you're going to be going to. Believe me, as someone who went to a large campus in undergraduate, there was definitely a lot to make sure that I knew, so I knew exactly where I was going, because if there's one thing you don't want to be, is you don't want to be late on your first day of class. And graduate school was no different, because there was no campus. I actually had to go into New York City, and I had to go to a singular building in a massive urban jungle to make sure that I actually got to the right building. I had to make sure before school started that I knew exactly what building I had to go to, exactly how the floors were structured, to make sure that I was there. And believe me, yeah, it's a bit anal if you really think about it, and that could be my OCD kicking in, because if you get up late, and you have 5 minutes to get to class, and you have no idea where to go or even what room you're going to be in, it's just going to spell disaster. So analyze your environment, and that's going to lead into the second tip. Research your instructors. The internet is a very powerful tool. You have the ability to go to ratemyteacher.com, where you can actually get profiles on professors. Most colleges do allow their instructors' information to be posted on a website such as that, and you actually get to see real-life testimonials from students that actually had courses with these specific teachers. Now, I unfortunately did not have that. I actually had word of mouth. Heck, when I even went to orientation in graduate school, I had the opportunity to meet some of my professors right away. They actually took the time to introduce themselves to all the students. They gave us their backgrounds, they told us what they taught, and they even sat down with some of the students individually to answer all their questions. And this was before class even started. That shows that they have a personal touch. But if you don't have that, there's those websites where you actually get to see where the students are in terms of what they think of these instructors. So you're going to understand, are they easygoing? Are they challenging? What do they expect of the students? What kind of projects and assignments do they give their students? So you know exactly what materials you need to bring. Do you need to bring calculators? Do you need to bring more than just pencils and pens? How many notebooks do you need to bring? Will there be any group projects so you get to interact with your fellow students? So many different layers in regards to having a successful class in a semester. So it's really important to make sure that you know how those instructors tick. And then when you actually meet them, they will know how you tick. The next tip is test your commute. Now, this is not necessarily something that a dorming student needs. However, when you take a look at where you're actually going to be sleeping every single day, and you need to know where your class is, how much time do I need to get from point A to point B? That lets you know what time you need to wake up in the morning. Can I shower? Can I exercise? Can I get a good breakfast? Because those are very important things in regards to tackling your day. And in regards to a commuter, it's 10 times more difficult, because you may be coming from a walking distance, you may be coming from a 45-minute to an hour distance from your home if you're living at home or an apartment. So how much time do I need? What are the best highways to take? What are the right subway trains to take if I have to go from an urban area that uses mass transit? What's my bus route? Do I take side streets? Where are the traffic traps so I don't get a ticket if I accidentally rush through a traffic light? There are so many things to know in terms of a safe commute. I always try to make sure that to have no less than 45 minutes to get to where I need to be. It took me about a half an hour to get to school in undergrad, and there were traffic jams sometimes, and that was because of the fact that I overslept, and believe me, I paid the ultimate price. But in regards to going into the city, I always made sure that I needed to get out of my house within an hour before class, because I had to make sure that I got to the subway, I had to make sure that the trains were not running with delays, and that's another thing. When you are using mass transit, make sure that you are familiar with the mass transit website so you know which trains are troublesome, because if there are delays on your train, either find an alternate route or get onto that train or bus earlier. And the same thing goes with weather patterns. If you do have to go to class and there is a huge storm, whether it's rain or snow or heavy winds, and you have to be at class, give yourself the extra time. Because if there's one thing that instructors do favor, it's people who are punctual. And on that note, this also means prepare early. Remember that calendar that I talked about in putting together a proper thesis? Well, the same goes for your week's worth of classes. Get yourself one of these planners. It is very essential to know exactly what you need to do and where you need to be at every hour of the day. You want to know how crazy I can get sometimes? I actually write down what I'm going to be eating for all 3 meals. I write about when I'm doing specific chores. I list when I'm actually supposed to be meeting certain people for coffee, or if I actually have an important business meeting. I write my entire life down on a weekly basis, as early as Sunday, because when Monday starts, you are right into work mode and you gotta get going. And the same thing goes for school. The more you plan ahead, the more easier your days are going to be in a given week. And the same thing goes for homework assignments. Make sure that you block some time to do your homework. Heck, block some time for when you want to just sit down and watch your Netflix. You can do that. There is no shame in being organized. And the more organized you are, the better your experience in college or grad school is going to be. And on that same note, it also means buy your books early. Do not wait for the teacher on the first day of class to tell you what books you need for class. Because if you don't have a bookstore and you have to order those books online, who knows how long it's going to take. And it's going to lead into the last tip that I give to you today. Introduce yourself. Okay, some people will call that being the teacher's pet, and a lot of the in crowd or the cool people don't like a brown noser. But believe me, it's going to pay off for you. When I was in grad school, and I had about 2 weeks before my semester began, I already made sure that I knew who my instructors were based on the classes that I was enrolled in. And I found their school emails, because all the teachers these days have a private email as well as a school network email. I wrote them an email, and I said to them, "Hello, I am going to be attending your class this year. I just want to know what book I need so I can be prepared for day 1 of class." And I know for a solid fact that there was even a teacher that reached out to all the students 3 weeks before class and said, "Get these books." And guess what? At least half the class didn't listen, and half the class didn't have their books. And 2 of those students in my class dropped out of the course because they never got their books. There were complications with their mail and the service that they used, and never got their books. It shows you that it is important to know what your books are, and let your teachers know who you are. Because I will say this, you show integrity and you show that you are a go-getter to these instructors even before school starts, they're going to look very favorably of you. And when we get to the final video in this group of videos for this year, you're going to understand why it pays to let your teachers know who you are before they have to know who you are on the first day of class. And that wraps up the first episode of this year's Lawn Gnomes Guide 2. And I'm looking forward to getting your comments, so please put them in the box below. I would love to have a really good conversation with you, and I'd love to know about your experiences. And if you actually did use any of these tips, let me know, and let me know how they paid off for you if they did. So guys, I'm the Lawn Gnome. I will see you in the next one, and actions speak louder than words.